A service dog would not stop barking. Not at loud passengers. Not at moving carts. But at a woman, carrying a baby, through a crowded airport. At first, it left the handler embarrassed, and fellow travelers irritated, until an officer noticed something strange. The infant had not moved, at all. And what they uncovered next left the entire terminal frozen in disbelief. Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us where in the world you are watching from. And if you love powerful police dog stories, be sure to subscribe, because what comes next, you will not want to miss. The blizzard outside Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport had turned Terminal D into chaos. Departure boards flashed red with cancellation after cancellation. Every seat was taken, and frustration hung in the air, thick as the overpriced coffee, and the tension in every stranded passenger's voice. Officer Melissa Rodriguez tugged at her uniform collar, still warm from a quick lunch in the staff cafeteria. Beside her, Luna moved silently. A German shepherd, not just trained in scent detection, but in something far more rare: behavioral assessment. She could read the way people moved, the way they hesitated, the way fear lived beneath a calm surface. And that had made her priceless. Rodriguez and Luna were nearing international baggage claim when something shifted. A subtle change in Luna's posture. Her gait tightened. Her ears angled forward, like radar locking onto something unseen. Then came the low whine. Rodriguez narrowed her eyes. This was not Luna's standard alert. This was something else. She had only seen Luna react like this once before. The whine deepened. Luna's body locked rigid. Rodriguez scanned the terminal, quickly. A businessman with suspicious bulges in his duffel bag? No. Luna's focus was fixed elsewhere. On a well-dressed woman in her 30s. Designer jacket. Perfect hair despite the storm outside. And in her arms, a sleeping infant. Or what appeared to be one. Luna's soft whine became a growl. Low, vibrating. Her entire frame radiating tension. Travelers began stepping back. A quiet ripple of nervous movement. "Ma'am, is your dog okay?" Airport security supervisor Martin Nez stepped forward, concern on his face. "We are already dealing with enough stress from these delays." Rodriguez opened her mouth to answer. But then, Luna's growl erupted into full barks. Sharp, commanding, echoing through the terminal. Phones went up. Travelers started filming. A bubble of silence burst into gasps and whispers. "Luna! Stand down!" Rodriguez's voice cracked under the pressure, heat rising to her face. But Luna would not stop. She was not overwhelmed. She was not distracted. She was certain. And deep inside, Rodriguez knew it too. This was not a mistake. This was a warning. A warning she had only seen once before. The same behavior. In the case that had defined both their careers. Luna was not just alert. She was certain. Across the terminal, the well-dressed woman's expression shifted. From confusion to alarm. She clutched the motionless infant tighter to her chest. Her eyes flicked toward the nearest exit. Luna's barking only grew more intense. More urgent. Each second like a countdown. "I am so sorry about this." Rodriguez approached calmly, forcing a reassuring smile. Even as Luna strained against the leash, her barking had softened now, replaced by that sharp, high-pitched whine. The one Rodriguez had only heard when something was deeply wrong. "She is normally very well behaved. I do not know what has gotten into her." The woman adjusted the baby higher on her shoulder, a manicured hand cradling the child's head. "It is fine," she replied. But her voice trembled slightly beneath its polished surface. "I just need to get to my gate. We have already been delayed for hours." Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. Despite the woman's words, She was stepping back, widening the space between herself and Luna. The infant still had not moved. Not even flinched. "Which flight are you catching?" Rodriguez asked casually. But her mind was already racing, noting every subtle contradiction. The woman's designer luggage was scuffed, but not naturally. As if aged deliberately. She wore a wedding ring, but her fingers showed no indent. American Airlines to Chicago, then connecting to Denver. The woman answered quickly. Too quickly. "My husband is waiting for us." Luna began pacing slightly. Not randomly, but rhythmically. Her head moved from the woman's face to the infant, then back again. Not the pattern for contraband. Not for explosives. No. She was alerting to the relationship itself. "Your baby is sleeping soundly through all of this," Rodriguez noted softly. Still no movement. No flinch. No reaction. "How old is she?" 8 months, the woman replied. Then quickly corrected herself. "I mean, almost 9 months now." Her free hand fluttered to her scarf, tugging it once. "Please, my gate." Rodriguez nodded slowly, glanced at her watch for effect. "American to Chicago, you said? That is interesting. Because all American flights to Chicago were cancelled 2 hours ago, due to the storm." The woman's polished mask cracked for just a second. Her eyes widened. Then, just as quickly, she recovered. "I meant United. It has been such a long day. I got confused with all the changes." Rodriguez stepped half a pace closer. Soft tone, deliberate movement. "Would you mind if I check your travel documents? With all the confusion today, we are helping passengers confirm their new flight information." She had positioned herself subtly between the woman and the nearest exit. "That will not be necessary," the woman snapped, her voice sharpening. "We are already late." Rodriguez's gaze did not shift from the infant. "The baby has not moved at all. Not during Luna's barking. Not once. Most babies would at least stir." Something flickered behind the woman's eyes. Cold, calculated. "She is a good sleeper." Rodriguez's tone lowered. Firm, unwavering. "Ma'am, I am going to need to see some identification. And the baby's travel documents," Rodriguez said calmly. But this time, it was no longer a request. "It is standard procedure when flying with infants." She guided the woman gently toward a quieter area, just near the service corridor, away from the crowds, but still within full view of security cameras. Luna remained by her side, fully alert, her posture focused, her eyes never leaving the woman. The woman shifted, awkwardly, juggling the still motionless infant while digging through her expensive handbag. "My wallet should be right here," she muttered. Rodriguez watched closely. The bag looked too new, too clean. It did not match her claimed travel fatigue. "I am Catherine Winters. And this is my daughter Emma." Rodriguez noticed it. A slight hesitation before saying the baby's name. She filed it away mentally, alongside every other inconsistency. Finally, the woman produced a driver's license. Rodriguez examined it under the overhead light. Ohio license. Issued 14 months ago. Yet not a single crease. No wear on the corners. Even though she claimed to carry it every day. The photo matched. But the holographic security strip. It did not catch the light properly. "And do you have Emma's birth certificate, or passport?" Rodriguez asked gently. "All minors need identification for air travel." As she spoke, her hand subtly radioed for backup. Catherine replied quickly, too quickly. "It is in my checked luggage. The airline said I did not need to carry it since she is just a baby." Officer Dawkins arrived, a veteran with over 2 decades on the job. He scanned the scene once, and immediately caught Rodriguez's subtle hand signal. "Ma'am, I am going to need you to come with us, to the security office," Dawkins said, calm but firm. "Standard procedure, when documents are in question." Emma, if that was even her real name, still had not moved. Beyond faint breathing, there was nothing. No startles. No tiny shifts. No restless hands or feet. Rodriguez's concern deepened. "Is there something wrong with the baby?" she asked directly. Catherine blinked, then repeated, "She is just a good sleeper." But her eyes darted away. They began walking slowly toward the security office. And Rodriguez's mind could not help but flash back to the first time Luna had revealed what she could really do. It was a year ago. An apartment in East Dallas. Police had entered to find a scene frozen in heartbreak. A young German Shepherd mix, barely a year old, standing over the lifeless body of a 1-year-old girl. The child's mother lay nearby, both victims of a violent home invasion. But Luna, she had refused to leave the child's side, even after 2 full days. When animal control finally managed to remove her, they found wounds along Luna's legs and shoulders. She had tried to fight off the attacker, despite being severely outmatched. Most dogs would have been labeled too traumatized for service work. But Luna was different. During her evaluation, her hypersensitivity around children, initially seen as a liability, was recognized for what it truly was: an extraordinary gift. Rodriguez returned to the present. She leaned closer to Officer Dawkins. Voice low, steady. "I would like to request a medical check for the baby. She has not moved or responded normally this entire time." Rodriguez's voice was firm, unwavering. Catherine's composure cracked visibly. "That is ridiculous. You cannot just demand a medical exam based on your dog's behavior." Her voice rose sharp and defensive. "This is harassment." But Luna's response spoke louder than any human. Instead of reacting to the raised voice with alert tension or a defensive stance, she calmly repositioned herself closer to the infant, as if shielding the baby from the very woman claiming to be her mother. Rodriguez's tone sharpened. "Miss Winters, we have reason for concern. The baby's lack of response to external stimuli is not normal. We are requesting a welfare check, which is well within our authority, when we have reasonable suspicion that a minor may be in distress." Just then, the airport's medical response team arrived. Their presence briefly interrupted the confrontation. A paramedic knelt beside the baby, gently examining her, while Rodriguez stepped aside with Officer Dawkins to fully brief him on her observations. Luna still stood by the infant, now completely calm, but unmistakably protective, no longer signaling a threat, but standing guard, like a soldier assigned to the most fragile life. The paramedic's voice brought Rodriguez back. "This child has been sedated," she said urgently. "Respirations are low. Pupils are sluggish. She needs emergency care. Immediately." Catherine, or whoever she truly was, suddenly lunged for the door. But Luna was faster. She stepped directly into her path. No growl. No aggression. Just a firm, immovable presence. A line that would not be crossed. "Miss Winters, you are being detained pending investigation," Rodriguez stated formally. Officer Dawkins moved swiftly to secure the woman, who had begun to flail, confused and panicked. "The infant is being transported for emergency medical evaluation, and we are going to have many questions for you." Detective Harmon from Dallas PD's Special Victims Unit arrived within the hour, his face worn by years of hard cases, but especially grave. As he reviewed the early reports, The woman's real name is Jessica Morris. He showed Rodriguez a file on his tablet. Released 3 weeks ago from Lakewood Psychiatric Hospital. After a 6-month involuntary commitment. The photo matched. Though in the file, Jessica looked wild-eyed and hollow. A shadow of the polished, composed woman she had pretended to be. What was she in for? Rodriguez asked. Eyes still on Luna, who now stood quietly beside the hospital bed. Severe postpartum psychosis, Harmon said quietly. Her infant son died from SIDS 6 months ago. She was found trying to take another baby from a grocery store parking lot, claiming it was hers. The doctors thought she was responding well to treatment. He glanced toward the ER. But clearly, his voice trailed off. Rodriguez looked down the hallway. And the baby? Her name is Sophia Mills, Harmon replied. 8 months old. Reported missing from her home in Austin yesterday. The mother, Claire Mills, Jessica's sister. She is on her way now. Should be here within the hour. Rodriguez exhaled, processing the chain of events. The lies, the baby's silence. Jessica took her sister's baby, sedated her, tried to flee the state. That is our working theory. Harmon nodded. But there are still unanswered questions. Jessica does not drive. Had no access to funds. Someone helped her get to Austin, take the baby, and make it all the way to DFW. With fake documents. And a nearly flawless act. That is when Luna's ears perked up. Her attention shifted sharply toward the entrance of the treatment wing. Rodriguez had learned to trust those subtle cues. Luna had detected something significant. What is it, girl? She murmured, following her partner's gaze. A man in a crisp, tailored suit stood at the nurse's station, speaking with the charge nurse. His hospital ID badge was clearly visible. That is Dr. Nathan Chambers, Harmon said, noticing Luna's reaction. Jessica's psychiatrist, from Lakewood. He is the one who called it in. When he heard she had been detained, said he was concerned about her mental state during questioning. But Luna's posture had changed completely. Her calm presence, now replaced by rigid, focused alertness. It was the same stance she had taken toward Jessica earlier. Rodriguez's instincts sharpened. Luna had identified something again. Another threat. Inside the secure interview room, Jessica Morris looked nothing like the composed woman from the airport. Her designer jacket was rumpled, makeup smeared from crying. All pretense gone. I just wanted him back, she whispered, not looking up. They told me he was gone. But mothers know, we always know. You are talking about your son? Rodriguez asked gently, taking a seat across from her. The one who died. Jessica's eyes snapped upward. Fierce, wild. He did not die. That is what they want everyone to believe. Nathan showed me the truth. How they take babies from mothers they deem unfit, and place them with more suitable families. My sister's baby. She looks just like my Charlie. That cannot be a coincidence. Nathan, Rodriguez prompted softly. You mean Dr. Chambers? Jessica nodded rapidly. He understands. He has seen it happen before to other mothers. They declare them unstable, take their babies, fake their deaths. He helped me see the truth. Sophia is really Charlie. They gave him to my sister when they took him from me. Rodriguez's face remained compassionate. But inside, she was connecting the pieces. And the picture was turning darker by the second. And Dr. Chambers helped you get to Austin? Jessica nodded, her expression childlike. He said once we were far away, he could run the DNA tests. He could prove it was Charlie. That we would be a family again. Rodriguez's voice remained soft. Did he give you medication for Sophia? To keep her quiet during travel? Jessica flinched, then muttered defensively. Just baby Benadryl. He is a doctor. He said it would help. Make the transition easier. For Charlie. Until he remembered me. Rodriguez stood up slowly, her stomach heavy with the truth. She stepped into the hallway and found Harmon waiting. She began briefing him quietly. But before she could finish, a sudden commotion erupted down the hall. Raised voices. Equipment crashing. They ran toward the pediatric unit. Hospital security was already in action, trying to restrain someone near the infant's room. It was Dr. Chambers. Despite all protocols, he had somehow gained access to Sophia's treatment room. And there, between the doctor and the baby's hospital bed, stood Luna. Her posture was firm, protective, defensive, but perfectly controlled, just as she had been trained. This is outrageous, Chambers shouted, his calm demeanor now cracking under pressure. I am this child's doctor. I have every right to examine her. Security began escorting him out of the room. But Rodriguez noticed something. In the chaos, he slipped something into his coat pocket. A small, glass vial. It glinted under the hospital lights. A small vial, just barely visible. And Luna's unwavering stare, fixed on that very pocket, confirmed Rodriguez's suspicion. Detective. She leaned in quietly to Harmon. I believe Dr. Chambers just attempted to take a DNA sample from Sophia. If he has been manipulating Jessica's delusions, then this was never about concern. Hours later, inside Dallas PD's Special Victims Unit, surveillance footage from Jessica's hospital room played across a large screen. The timestamp read 2:14 a.m., 3 nights before Sophia's abduction. The video was grainy, but clear enough. Dr. Chambers sat beside Jessica's bed, leaning close, speaking softly, while showing her something on a tablet. He is programming her, the FBI consultant said grimly, pausing the footage. He is feeding her delusions about her son, and using them to make her believe her niece is actually her child. Classic exploitation of a vulnerable subject. Claire Mills, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. Jessica told me once that Nathan said he understood her pain, that he had lost a child too. A son, taken from him in some unfair custody battle. Rodriguez felt it all clicking together. Luna had sensed it from the beginning. He is recreating his own trauma through these women, using them to reclaim what he believes was taken from him. The storage facility, on the outskirts of Dallas, stood quiet and cold against the fading light. Rows of identical orange doors lined each concrete corridor. Unit 31, rented under a shell company, traced directly to Dr. Nathan Chambers. It was sealed with a digital lock and a heavy external padlock. The search warrant had been expedited, based on the mounting evidence, but Luna's behavior suggested that whatever was inside was worse than they anticipated. When the lock clicked open, Luna stepped back, positioning herself beside Rodriguez, as if bracing for what lay beyond. The unit did not contain people or immediate physical threats, but what they discovered was deeply disturbing. In its order, and in its purpose. One entire wall, covered with photographs, news clippings, medical records, all related to infants and young children. Another corner, lined with medical equipment, including sedatives, identical to those used on Sophia. But most unsettling of all was the center of the room, where a nursery had been assembled. A crib, a changing table, a rocking chair, all meticulously arranged, as if waiting for a child to return. Luna moved through the room carefully, her training keeping her from disturbing anything. but her presence felt like a guardian walking through haunted memories. In the far corner, she paused. A filing cabinet. She gave the specific alert pattern used for locating high-interest documents. Inside, they found Chambers' private case files, detailed psychological profiles of dozens of women. All had lost children. All had been patients at institutions where Chambers had once worked. Each file annotated with disturbing notes. High susceptibility to reconditioning. Potential for maternal reclamation. Rodriguez felt her skin crawl, her mind now seeing the full scope. It was not random. It was never about Jessica alone. This was a pattern. A project. Suddenly, Luna gave a sharp, alert bark. It was her specific signal for concealed evidence. She stood frozen, focused on what appeared to be a plain section of drywall. The forensics team moved in, and behind the false wall, they found a hidden compartment. What it contained would turn the case from exploitation to something far more horrifying. Inside the hidden compartment, they found something darker. USB drives, labeled and indexed, each one containing hours of footage. Chambers interviewing his patients, his voice soft, his tone calculated, gradually reshaping their perceptions, twisting their pain into false beliefs. And it worked. More than once. Worse still were the files documenting his failures. Failed reclamation attempts. Cases where his subjects had been caught, or had broken down before they could retrieve the targeted children. One file detailed his plan for a current patient named Elise Warner. The note said, "Her infant recently deceased. She can be convinced. The child was placed with her cousin in Seattle. Timing next week." Rodriguez stared at the file, heart pounding. If Luna had not alerted to Jessica at the airport, this would have happened again. In the interview room, Dr. Chambers sat with the practiced calm of a man used to being the smartest person in the room. His attorney, a sleek, sharp-suited woman from a top firm, had advised him to stay silent. But his ego was stronger than her caution. "This is all a tremendous misunderstanding," he began, his voice smooth, soothing. "Jessica Morris is a deeply disturbed woman. Her delusions have been tragically mistaken for fact." Luna stirred, still lying at Rodriguez's feet. But now, her ears lifted, her eyes locked on Chambers, focused, intent, as if she remembered. "We found your storage unit, Dr. Chambers," Harmon said flatly. "And your files. Rather detailed records. For someone claiming this is a misunderstanding." "Research materials," Chambers countered, his voice unshaken. "I am writing a book on maternal grief and delusional reclamation. These women's stories are powerful examples of how the mind builds false realities to survive unbearable loss." Luna stood. No sound. No growl. But she walked forward, deliberate, and stopped, right across from him. Her amber eyes met his, locked in. It was not aggression. It was recognition. "Your dog seems poorly socialized," Chambers muttered, a flicker of genuine discomfort crossing his face. "Military canines need proper transition training before civilian deployment." "Luna is not military," Rodriguez replied, her voice even, steady. "She is a survivor. She was found at a crime scene, where a mother and child were murdered. What is interesting is how she somehow developed the ability to sense when children are in danger, especially from adults, pretending to be something they are not." There was a pause. Rodriguez watched him closely. "What happened to your son, Dr. Chambers?" she asked. Gently. Court records show you lost custody 5 years ago. But after that, there is nothing. The shift was instant. Chambers' polished calm cracked like glass. A flash of rage flared across his face. And then, it was gone. I do not think so, Rodriguez said quietly, before he could deflect. Because while we are sitting here, search teams are executing warrants. At your residence. And your office. I am particularly interested. In the locked room in your basement. The one with the reinforced door. It was a calculated move. I guess. But his reaction confirmed everything. The mask collapsed completely. What remained was something far colder. You have no idea what you are interfering with, he said softly. These women. I am helping them reclaim what was taken from them. The system destroys families. It declares mothers unfit, rips children from their natural bonds. My work restores the natural order. Rodriguez met his eyes. Calm. Where is your son, Dr. Chambers? She asked again. This time, he smiled. But the smile had no warmth. No soul. Just shadows. Safe, Chambers said quietly. Beyond the reach of a system that separates families, based on arbitrary standards of fitness. These women, they were rehearsals, preparations. Each one taught me something. Failures that helped refine my method to ensure my success. As if on cue, Rodriguez's phone buzzed. A message from the search team. Hidden room located in basement. Evidence of recent childcare. No child present. But signs suggest occupancy within the past 48 hours. The search for Dr. Chambers' son expanded across 3 states. 72 hours of coordinated effort. And Luna never stopped working alongside specialized search teams. Her ability to sense what others could not became their compass. They narrowed their focus to a remote cabin deep in the East Texas piney woods. The operation unfolded with practiced precision. Within 20 minutes, tactical teams secured the cabin and its sole occupant, a young woman who identified herself as Andrea Wesley, a nursing student hired through a private agency to care for a man's son. Dr. Mitchell, she said, while he traveled for work. In a small bedroom, carefully decorated, they found the boy, sleeping peacefully, healthy, clean, safe. But his eyes, when they opened, held a quiet weight. Far too heavy for 5 years old. Rodriguez knelt, her voice calm. Hello? My name is Melissa. This is Luna. The boy looked at the dog. Something softened in his eyes. She is pretty, he whispered. Is she nice? Very nice. Rodriguez smiled. She is especially trained to help children feel safe. Luna moved forward slowly, lowering her head, making herself smaller, less intimidating, more inviting. The boy reached out, hesitant at first, then bolder. Luna responded with a soft whine. Encouraging, gentle. What is your name? Rodriguez asked softly. Ethan, he replied. But sometimes, Dad calls me Andrew. For safety. His voice faltered. Is my dad in trouble? Rodriguez exhaled slowly. Sometimes, grown-ups do not tell the truth. But we are going to find out exactly what happened. And make sure you are with people who will take very good care of you. The truth came next. And it broke every heart that heard it. Ethan's mother had never abandoned him. Christina Chambers had been fighting for over 3 years to regain custody of her son, blocked at every turn. by falsified psychological evaluations, manipulated court records, all orchestrated by her ex-husband, a man who had used his professional position to destroy her credibility and steal her child. The reunion took place under careful supervision at the Children's Advocacy Center. Rodriguez watched it unfold, and it shattered, then stitched, her heart. Christina fell to her knees the moment she saw him, tears streaming, arms trembling. "My baby!" She reached out, afraid, hopeful, shaking. Ethan stood frozen. Years of confusion and control held him back. But Luna was there, still by his side. She nudged him forward. Just once. A soft, gentle nudge. Ethan blinked, took one step, then another, and then he ran into his mother's arms. "My beautiful boy!" Christina sobbed, clutching him as if she would never let go again. Rodriguez stood in the hallway, watching the reunion unfold. Luna beside her, as the sun began to set through the windows of the center. And she thought, sometimes it is not the loudest bark or the strongest command that saves a life. Sometimes it is one quiet dog, with eyes that see what others miss, and a heart that never forgets. The chain of events that led to this moment had begun with something simple: a service dog barking in an airport. But from that single action, they had uncovered a scheme of manipulation and exploitation that had stretched across years and lives, all because one traumatized dog had developed an extraordinary ability to sense when parent-child relationships were not what they seemed. "Your partner is something special," Harmon said quietly, nodding toward Luna, who now lay in a calm, watchful position near Ethan and his mother. "Most canines are trained to find specific threats: drugs, explosives, suspects. But Luna, she finds the truth." Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. "That is what trauma did for her," she replied. "When she could not save that little girl 3 years ago, something fundamental shifted in how she sees the world. She is always searching now for children in danger, always assessing the adults around them, as if checking, do they belong together? A blessing born from a tragedy," Harmon murmured. That evening, Rodriguez sat at her desk, finishing her final report on the case. Luna dozed beside her chair, occasionally twitching in her sleep. The department had buzzed all day. The chief had personally come down to commend them. But none of it mattered more than the quiet presence of the dog at her side. Rodriguez reached down. "Good girl," she whispered. Luna opened her eyes briefly, met Rodriguez's gaze, and then closed them again. "Peaceful. Safe. You did good." Outside, the Texas night had settled in. Stars began to pierce through the dark sky. Tomorrow would bring new cases, new challenges. But tonight, they had earned their rest. Because sometimes, the deepest wounds create the most remarkable healing. Not just for the ones who are rescued, but for the rescuers themselves. Have you ever wondered if animals can sense things that we cannot? The story of Luna and Officer Rodriguez reminds us that sometimes our four-legged companions see what we miss, feel what we overlook, and act when no one else does. Their bond, forged through shared pain and mutual healing, proves something powerful: that the deepest scars sometimes lead to the most extraordinary gifts. What do you believe gives service dogs like Luna their almost supernatural intuition? Is it their enhanced senses? Their emotional intelligence? Or something deeper? Something beyond what science can yet explain? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if Luna's story touched your heart, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another incredible tale of canine heroism. Here on Furry Paws, we are dedicated to sharing stories that celebrate the unbreakable bond between service dogs and the heroes who walk beside them. Check out our previous videos on your screen now. From military dogs who saved entire platoons to therapy canines who helped children find their voices again. Each one reminds us that sometimes the bond between handler and dog transcends training and becomes something truly extraordinary.